Welcome back. Coinology. The humble 1-cent coin is something most people pass over without a second thought, yet hidden among everyday pocket change are stories so unbelievable that they sound like legends, stories that turn ordinary copper-colored discs into objects worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or even private islands. Among these overlooked coins, the 1975 D 1-cent coin holds a special place, not because every example is rare, but because certain versions, under extraordinary circumstances, have become symbols of how small details can lead to life-changing discoveries. This is the story of that coin, a coin struck in an era of economic uncertainty, social change, and quiet minting processes that would later spark curiosity, speculation, and intense collector interest. In 1975, the United States was still feeling the aftershocks of major historical shifts. The Vietnam War had recently ended, inflation was rising, and the U.S. Mint was adjusting to new realities after the removal of silver from circulating coinage just a decade earlier. Coins were no longer seen as savings tools by the public, yet behind the scenes, mint officials were producing billions of pieces to keep the economy moving. One of those facilities was the Denver Mint, identified by the small but powerful D Mint mark. Every coin leaving Denver carried that tiny letter, silently marking its place of birth and separating it from its Philadelphia and San Francisco counterparts. The 1975 D 1-cent coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, a design that had already become deeply familiar to Americans by the mid-1970s. On the obverse, Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile faces right, a portrait originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. By 1975, this design had been refined through decades of minting, yet small variations in strike quality, die condition, and metal composition still occurred. The coin was composed primarily of copper, approximately 95% copper with the remaining balance made up of zinc and trace metals, giving it a warm reddish-brown tone when fresh and a darker, richer color as it aged. The weight of a standard 1975 D 1-cent coin is approximately 3.11 grams, a specification that collectors know by heart. Diameter measures around 19.05 millimeters, and the edge is plain, with no reading or lettering. These measurements seem mundane, yet they form the baseline from which extraordinary deviations are identified. In the world of numismatics, normality is the background against which rarity shines. A coin that matches every standard exactly is common, but one that breaks even a single rule can rewrite its destiny. The reverse design of the 1975 D cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of unity and remembrance. At the center, if examined closely under magnification, the seated statue of Lincoln is visible inside the memorial, a tiny detail that fascinates collectors even today. Above the memorial appears the phrase United States of America, while 1 cent is boldly displayed below. The motto E pluribus unum arches across the top of the memorial, reminding viewers of the nation's founding ideal, out of many, one. These words, combined with the imagery, create a coin that is both symbolic and historically grounded. During 1975, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins. In fact, the total mintage number is so high that most examples are worth only face value in circulated condition. This is where many people stop listening, assuming the story ends there. But history has shown time and again that mintage numbers alone do not tell the full story. Coins are struck by machines operated by humans, using dies that wear down, crack, and sometimes fail in spectacular ways. When these failures occur at the wrong or right moment, they create anomalies that can turn a common coin into an object of intense desire. Collectors have long searched for unusual 1975 D cents displaying errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, wrong metal strikes, and transitional composition mistakes. While officially documented examples are rare, rumors and private discoveries have fueled speculation for decades. Some collectors claim to have seen 1975 D cents with dramatic doubling on the date or lettering, while others whisper about coins struck on experimental or leftover planchets. Whether fully verified or still debated, these stories keep interest alive and drive the imagination of both seasoned numismatists and everyday people checking their spare change. The idea of a 1-cent coin reaching an estimated market value of hundreds of millions of dollars does not come from ordinary examples, but from the theoretical combination of extreme rarity, historical significance, pristine condition, and unique minting errors. In the rare coin world, value is not only about metal or denomination, but about narrative. A coin that can be proven to be one of a kind, especially if tied to a critical moment in minting history or a major minting mistake, can command prices that defy logic. Auctions are not just sales, they are battlegrounds of ego, prestige, and obsession, where wealthy collectors compete for the right to own a piece of history that no one else can have. The Denver mint mark itself adds another layer to the mystery. Unlike Philadelphia, which traditionally produced coins without a mint mark, Denver's D is always visible, making identification easier but also increasing scrutiny. Any abnormality associated with that mark, its position, shape, or even absence, can dramatically affect value. A missing or malformed mint mark, especially if caused by a filled die or die damage, can be the difference between a one-cent curiosity and a museum-grade artifact. Condition plays a role that cannot be overstated. A 1975 D cent preserved in perfect, uncirculated condition, with full original luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, already commands attention. When paired with a rare error or unique feature, its value multiplies exponentially. Professional grading services examine such coins under extreme magnification, assigning grades that reflect even the smallest imperfections. A top-grade example, certified and encapsulated, becomes more than a coin, it becomes a verified historical object with a documented identity. Stories circulate of people discovering rare coins in old jars, inherited collections, or forgotten drawers. Whether every story is true or not, they fuel hope and curiosity. The possibility that something so small and ordinary could transform someone's life is powerful. The 1975 D 1-cent coin represents that possibility. It reminds people that history is not always locked away in museums, sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. As the coin market continues to evolve, interest in Lincoln cents remains strong. New collectors enter the hobby every year, driven by online videos, auctions, and viral stories of incredible finds. Each new generation brings fresh eyes and renewed enthusiasm, re-examining coins that previous generations may have overlooked. In this environment, even a coin from 1975 can experience a renaissance, its story retold and reinterpreted through modern fascination. This is only the beginning of the journey into the 1975 D 1-cent coin. To truly understand how a single penny could be linked, even hypothetically, to values reaching hundreds of millions of dollars, one must dive deeper into specific error types, legendary discoveries, market psychology, and the way collectors assign worth to rarity itself. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes that in numismatics, value is not just measured in money, but in mystery, history, and the timeless thrill of discovery. As collectors dig further into the story of the 1975 D 1-cent coin, attention naturally shifts from its basic appearance to the invisible forces that shape rarity and value. Coin collecting is not simply about owning metal, it is about understanding probability, survival rates, and the countless ways a coin can be altered, damaged, or preserved across decades. Billions of pennies may have been struck, but only a tiny fraction survive today in exceptional condition, and an even smaller fraction survive with unusual characteristics that elevate them beyond the ordinary. One of the most powerful drivers of extreme value in the coin world is the mint error. Errors are not intentional designs, they are accidents, and accidents are unpredictable. A double die, for example, occurs when a die receives more than one impression during its creation, slightly offset from each other. When that die strikes coins, the doubling appears on dates, letters, or even Lincoln's profile. On a 1975 D cent, such doubling can be subtle or dramatic, and collectors spend hours examining coins under magnification to detect it. Even the smallest doubling, when confirmed and authenticated, can push value far beyond face value. Another category that fuels speculation is the off-metal or wrong planchet strike. During the 1970s, the U.S. Mint experimented with different metal compositions due to rising copper prices. Although the official transition to copper-plated zinc cents did not occur until 1982, leftover planchets, test materials, or foreign blanks sometimes found their way into the wrong presses. A genuine 1975 D cent struck on an incorrect planchet would represent a spectacular anomaly. Such coins are extraordinarily rare, and when verified, they become instant legends within the collecting community. Then there are die cracks, die breaks, and cuts, physical failures of the dies themselves. As dies wear out, cracks can form, transferring raised lines or blobs onto the coins they strike. While minor die cracks are common and usually inexpensive, massive breaks that dramatically alter the design can be highly sought after. A large cut obscuring part of the date, mint mark, or lettering on a 1975 D cent transforms the coin into a visual record of mint machinery literally breaking under pressure. Condition rarity adds another layer of complexity. many 1975 cents circulated heavily, picking up scratches, discoloration, and wear. Coins that escaped circulation entirely, stored in rolls or mint-sealed bags, had a better chance of surviving in high grade. Even among uncirculated coins, differences in strike sharpness, luster, and surface quality matter. A perfectly preserved coin, graded at the very top of the scale, becomes exponentially rarer than one just a single grade lower. In high-end numismatics, that difference can mean thousands, millions, or in theoretical scenarios, vastly more. Market psychology plays a role that outsiders often underestimate. Collectors are not purely rational buyers, they are driven by emotion, pride, and the desire to own something unique. When a coin gains a reputation, whether through auction results, media coverage, or online speculation, it takes on a life of its own. Stories spread, prices rise, and the coin becomes a symbol. The 1975 cent, when associated with extreme rarity or extraordinary error potential, benefits from this phenomenon. The idea that an overlooked penny could rewrite someone's financial future is compelling, and that narrative itself adds perceived value. Historical context also matters. Coins are artifacts of their time, and 1975 was a year defined by transition. The United States was adjusting to post-war realities, economic pressures, and changing industrial practices. Minting technology was advanced enough to produce massive quantities efficiently, yet still vulnerable to human oversight and mechanical failure. Coins from this period represent a balance between modern precision and old-world imperfection, making errors from this era particularly intriguing. Collectors often ask why certain coins skyrocket in value while others do not. The answer lies in a combination of verified rarity, demand, condition, and story. A coin with a documented, one-of-a-kind error, certified by a respected grading service, and linked to a known historical or minting anomaly, occupies the highest tier of desirability. If such a coin were ever tied to the 1975 cent series, the market reaction would be explosive. Wealthy collectors, institutions, and even museums would compete for ownership, not merely for profit, but for prestige. Auction houses understand this psychology well. When a rare coin appears at auction, it is not simply listed, it is marketed. High-resolution images, expert descriptions, and historical narratives are crafted to highlight every detail. Bidding wars erupt when two or more buyers decide they must have the coin at any cost. In these moments, price becomes secondary to victory. This is how coins transcend traditional value limits and enter the realm of legendary prices. The concept of a market value reaching hundreds of millions of dollars is rooted in this extreme end of the spectrum. It assumes a coin that is not just rare, but singular. A coin that challenges existing records, rewrites reference books, and becomes the benchmark against which all others are measured. While most 1975 cents will never approach such heights, the theoretical possibility keeps collectors searching, checking, and dreaming. Education is another important factor. As information becomes more accessible through videos, forums, and digital archives, collectors become more skilled at identifying potential rarities. Mistakes that once slipped unnoticed into circulation are now more likely to be recognized. This increased awareness does not eliminate rarity, instead, it sharpens competition. When something truly unusual appears, the entire collecting world is watching. The legacy of the Lincoln Cent series also amplifies interest. Spanning more than a century, it is one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Each year adds another chapter, another opportunity for discovery. The 1975 cent occupies a specific place in that timeline, bridging the classic copper era and the changes that would soon follow. That position alone gives it historical weight. As time moves forward, surviving examples become fewer. Coins are lost, damaged, melted, or discarded. High-grade specimens become scarcer, and the window for discovery narrows. What remains gains importance simply by surviving. This gradual attrition is one of the quiet forces that drive long-term value growth in numismatics. The deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes that the story of the 1975 1-cent coin is not just about metal or numbers. It is about chance, history, human error, and human obsession. It is about the idea that something ordinary can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. And it is about the enduring belief that somewhere, perhaps in a collection yet to be examined, lies a coin that could change everything, and this journey is far from over. There are still layers to uncover, from detailed grading standards and authentication processes to famous discoveries and hypothetical scenarios that push the boundaries of value and imagination. The next part dives even deeper into how experts analyze these coins, how certification can transform worth, and how legends are born in the world of rare pennies. When experts analyze a coin like the 1975 1-cent piece, they are not just looking at what is visible to the naked eye. They are trained to see layers of information embedded in the metal itself. Every strike leaves microscopic evidence of pressure, alignment, and timing. Under high-powered magnification, surfaces reveal flow lines created when molten metal was forced into the recesses of the die. These lines tell a story of speed, force, and precision, and when something disrupts that process, the disruption becomes a fingerprint of rarity. Authentication is the gatekeeper between curiosity and legend. A coin believed to be extraordinary must survive intense scrutiny. Professional graders weigh it to the thousandth of a gram, measure its diameter and thickness, analyze its metallic composition, and examine its surfaces for signs of tampering. Counterfeits, altered coins, and damaged pieces are filtered out. Only those that pass every test earn certification. Once sealed in a holder with an official grade and description, the coin's identity is locked in history. At that moment, it stops being a rumor and starts being a fact. For a 1975 cent, certification can dramatically alter perception. A coin that appears ordinary in hand can become extraordinary once a rare error or exceptional condition is formally recognized. Collectors trust third-party grading because it removes doubt. In a market where prices can reach astonishing levels, trust is everything. A certified coin becomes tradable at the highest levels, eligible for elite auctions and private sales among the world's most serious buyers. The role of scarcity cannot be overstated. Scarcity is not just about how many coins were minted, it is about how many exist in a specific, desirable form. Millions of 1975 cents were struck, but how many survive with untouched surfaces, blazing luster, and a sharp strike? How many show a dramatic error that can be proven beyond question? The answer is always far smaller than the original mintage numbers suggest. This narrowing funnel is what turns abundance into rarity. Collectors often speak about population reports, which track how many examples of a coin have been graded at each level. When a population report shows only 1 or 2 examples at the highest grade, excitement builds. If a unique error appears with no comparable examples, the excitement becomes electric. The coin stops competing with similar pieces and starts standing alone. In that moment, traditional pricing models fail, because there is no benchmark. This is where imagination and competition take over. Wealthy collectors are not simply buying coins, they are buying status, legacy, and the thrill of owning something no one else can replicate. A singular 1975 cent, tied to an unprecedented error or condition, could become the centerpiece of a collection, discussed in books, lectures, and exhibitions. Its value would no longer be tied to copper content or face value, but to its position in numismatic history. Stories of legendary finds feed this dream. There are documented cases of coins discovered decades after minting that shattered expectations. Coins pulled from circulation, estate collections, or forgotten rolls have gone on to become famous. Each of these stories reinforces the belief that history is not finished revealing itself. The past still has secrets, and every unexamined coin is a question waiting for an answer. The market itself is shaped by these stories. When a sensational coin sells for a record-breaking price, it recalibrates expectations across the hobby. Collectors revisit similar dates, mint marks, and series, searching for overlooked examples. Interest surges, research deepens, and values across related coins can rise. The ripple effect spreads outward, touching even common coins by association. The Lincoln Cent series benefits enormously from this phenomenon because it is familiar to almost everyone. Unlike obscure gold or ancient coins, Lincoln Cents are approachable. People feel a personal connection to them. This emotional accessibility means that when a Lincoln Cent becomes famous, the story resonates far beyond hardcore collectors. It captures the imagination of the general public, drawing new participants into the hobby. Time adds gravity to all of this. As decades pass, coins become historical artifacts rather than modern currency. A 1975 cent is already approaching half a century old. Each year that passes reduces the number of pristine survivors and increases the weight of history attached to the coin. What was once pocket change slowly transforms into a tangible link to another era. Speculation often fills the gaps between known facts. Hypothetical scenarios are discussed in forums and private conversations. What if a 1975 cent were discovered struck on an experimental planchet? What if a unique doubled die surface that had never been recorded? What if a perfect specimen emerged that surpassed all known examples? These questions may not have answers yet, but they fuel ongoing interest and relentless searching. The idea of extreme market value emerges from these possibilities. It represents the upper limit of what collectors are willing to imagine and pursue. While such values are reserved for the rarest of the rare, they shape behavior throughout the market. People look more closely, learn more deeply, and preserve their coins more carefully because they believe discovery is still possible. At its core, the fascination with the 1975 1-cent coin reflects something deeply human. It is the desire to find meaning and value in the ordinary. It is the belief that careful attention can reveal hidden greatness. It is the thrill of the hunt, the patience of study, and the joy of discovery rolled into a single, copper-colored disc, and still, the story continues. There is more to explore about grading extremes, record-setting sales, and the way legends are cemented over time. The next part moves into how values are established, how auction records are broken, and how a single coin can redefine what is possible in the world of numismatics. When the conversation turns to value, the world of rare coins begins to resemble the world of fine art and priceless antiques more than everyday money. Value is no longer calculated by metal content or age alone. It is shaped by perception, documentation, and the collective agreement of those who care deeply about the object. A 1975 1-cent coin, when elevated into the realm of extreme rarity, enters this space where traditional limits no longer apply. Auction history shows that record-breaking prices are rarely accidents. They are the result of years of build-up, anticipation, and reputation. A coin that quietly exists in a private collection may be worth little more than a curiosity until it is revealed to the public under the right conditions. Once showcased, studied, certified, and promoted, its story becomes part of the market narrative. Collectors do not simply bid on metal, they bid on the right to own a story that will be told long after the sale is over. Price discovery in numismatics is a psychological event. When bidding begins on a truly special coin, the opening price is often symbolic. As bids climb, something changes. The room, whether physical or digital, becomes charged with tension. Each new bid signals commitment, confidence, and desire. When two determined buyers remain, price becomes almost irrelevant. What matters is winning. This dynamic explains how coins can leap from thousands to millions, and in hypothetical, once-in-a-generation scenarios, into numbers that shock the wider world. For a 1975 cent to reach an extraordinary market valuation, it would need to occupy a unique position. It would need to be recognized as the finest known example, or the only known example of a particular era or composition. Once that status is established, the coin stops competing with others from its date and mint. It becomes its own category. At that point, collectors are no longer asking what similar coins sold for, because there are no similar coins. Documentation becomes critical. Provenance, or ownership history, adds credibility and mystique. A coin with a traceable history, known collectors, notable auctions, scholarly references, commands greater respect. Each documented appearance reinforces its legitimacy and importance. Over time, the coin's name becomes familiar within the hobby, mentioned in articles, books, and lectures. Recognition breeds demand, and demand reinforces value. Media exposure amplifies this effect. When a rare coin is featured in articles, videos, or public exhibitions, it reaches audiences far beyond traditional collectors. People who have never attended an auction or read a numismatic journal suddenly become aware of the possibility that a penny can be priceless. This broader awareness feeds back into the market, increasing competition and driving prices higher. Another factor that influences extreme valuations is institutional interest. Museums, foundations, and educational institutions sometimes compete with private collectors for important artifacts. Their motivations are different, they are preserving history rather than building personal collections. When institutions enter the bidding, prices can escalate rapidly, because the object is being evaluated as cultural heritage rather than a collectible. Time also plays a strategic role. Some collectors intentionally hold exceptional coins for years or decades, waiting for the right moment to sell. They understand that markets move in cycles and that public interest rises and falls. When a coin reappears after a long absence, it can generate renewed excitement. The longer it has been unseen, the more anticipation builds around its return. The Lincoln Cent series has proven especially resilient in this regard. Because it spans so many decades and intersects with major historical events, it continually attracts attention. Each era brings new perspectives and new collectors. A coin from 1975, once considered modern and unremarkable, now occupies a middle ground between contemporary currency and historical artifact. This shifting perception gradually enhances its significance. There is also the concept of symbolic value. A penny is the smallest unit of U.S. currency, often dismissed as insignificant. When such a coin achieves extraordinary value, it becomes a symbol of contradiction and wonder. This symbolism resonates strongly with collectors and the public alike. It reinforces the idea that importance is not always obvious and that greatness can emerge from the smallest beginnings. As values climb, responsibility follows. High-value coins are handled, stored, and transported with extreme care. Specialized insurance, secure storage, and controlled environments become standard. The coin's physical safety becomes as important as its market value, because damage or loss would mean the disappearance of something truly irreplaceable. Critics sometimes question whether any coin can truly be worth such staggering sums. Yet markets are shaped by what people are willing to pay, not by abstract notions of fairness. Throughout history, objects of rarity and beauty have commanded prices far beyond their material worth. Coins are no exception. When rarity, story, condition, and desire converge, value follows naturally. The 1975 1-cent coin, in this context, represents possibility. It stands at the intersection of abundance and rarity, history and modernity, simplicity and complexity. Most examples will remain ordinary, but the potential for something extraordinary keeps interest alive. It encourages examination, learning, and appreciation, and still, there are more dimensions to explore. Beyond auctions and headlines lies the quiet, meticulous work of collectors and researchers who continue to study these coins in detail. The next part moves into long-term investment perspectives, preservation strategies, and how legends are sustained across generations. Long-term perspective is what separates casual curiosity from serious commitment in the world of rare coins. While headlines focus on record-breaking prices and dramatic auctions, the real foundation of value is built quietly over years of careful preservation, research, and patience. A coin like the 1975 1-cent piece, when viewed through this lens, becomes more than a momentary sensation. It becomes a long-term cultural and historical asset. Of preservation begins the moment a coin is recognized as potentially important. Even a single fingerprint can permanently alter the surface of a copper coin, leaving behind oils that react with the metal over time. Experienced collectors handle coins only by the edges, often using gloves, and store them in inert holders designed to prevent chemical reactions. Temperature, humidity, and light exposure are controlled, because copper is especially sensitive to environmental conditions. A perfectly preserved coin is not just lucky, it is the result of deliberate care. Over decades, this care compounds value. As poorly stored coins darken, spot, or corrode, well-preserved examples stand out more sharply. The contrast between average survivors and elite specimens grows wider with time. A 1975 cent that remains vibrant and untouched decades after minting becomes increasingly impressive simply because so few have survived in that state. Research also plays a crucial role. Collectors document die varieties, track known examples, and compare notes across generations. What begins as a curiosity can evolve into accepted knowledge as evidence accumulates. A previously unknown variety or error can gain recognition years after the coin was minted. In this way, the past is constantly being reinterpreted through new discoveries. Investment-minded collectors understand that rarity alone is not enough. Demand must exist, and demand must be sustained. The Lincoln Cent series benefits from its broad appeal, ensuring a steady base of interest. New collectors often begin with cents because they are accessible and familiar. As these collectors mature, their appreciation deepens, and their willingness to pursue exceptional examples increases. This gradual progression feeds long-term demand. Another factor is generational transfer. Collections are often passed down through families, sometimes with detailed records, sometimes with little more than a box of coins and vague stories. When heirs rediscover these collections, they may uncover pieces that were overlooked or undervalued in the past. Such rediscoveries periodically inject fresh excitement into the market and remind everyone that history still has surprises left. Legends are sustained through repetition and belief. When a coin story is told often enough, it becomes part of the collective memory of the hobby. The 1975 descent, surrounded by speculation and possibility, benefits from this process. Each retelling reinforces its mystique, even as scholars continue to separate fact from rumor. The tension between known reality and imagined potential keeps interest alive. Markets also evolve with technology. Online auctions, digital archives, and high-resolution imaging have transformed how coins are bought, sold, and studied. Information that once required years of networking to obtain is now accessible worldwide. This transparency raises standards but also intensifies competition. When a truly remarkable coin appears, it is instantly visible to a global audience. In such an environment, extreme valuations become more plausible. Wealth is global, and collectors no longer operate in isolation. A unique coin can attract interest from multiple continents, each bidder bringing their own motivations and resources. The pool of potential buyers expands, increasing the likelihood of extraordinary outcomes. Patience is often rewarded. Coins that remain quietly held during market lulls can emerge during periods of heightened interest, commanding attention and respect. Timing, as much as rarity, influences realized value. Savvy collectors understand this and plan accordingly, sometimes waiting years for the right moment to reveal a coin to the market. The emotional connection should not be underestimated. Collectors form bonds with their coins, seeing them as guardians of history rather than mere investments. This attachment can limit supply, as owners are reluctant to sell even at high prices. Reduced availability strengthens scarcity and reinforces value. As decades pass, the line between collector and historian blurs. Those who study and preserve coins contribute to a broader understanding of the past. A 1975 1-cent coin, once dismissed as ordinary, can become a teaching tool, a research subject, and a symbol of how everyday objects reflect larger historical narratives. The story does not end with ownership or sale. It continues through study, exhibition, and discussion. Each generation adds its own interpretation, ensuring that the coin's significance evolves rather than fades. This ongoing engagement is what transforms objects into legends, and still, there is more to explore. Beyond investment and preservation lies the human side of discovery, the moment when someone realizes they are holding something extraordinary. The next part moves into real-world discovery scenarios, emotional impact, and how a single penny can change a life forever. Discovery is the moment where theory becomes reality. It is quiet, almost ordinary at first. A coin is picked up, turned in the light, examined just a little longer than usual. There is no music, no announcement, just a subtle feeling that something is different. For the person holding a 1975 1-cent coin in that moment, curiosity becomes instinct. The date feels familiar, the mint mark ordinary, yet something does not quite align with expectation. Many discoveries begin without intention. A jar of old change emptied onto a table. A forgotten roll found in a drawer. An inherited collection opened after years of neglect. In these moments, time collapses. The past meets the present in the palm of a hand. The person examining the coin may not yet understand its significance, but intuition whispers that it deserves attention. As details emerge, excitement builds slowly. A magnifying glass reveals unusual doubling, an unexpected texture, a weight that feels slightly off. The mind races, oscillating between disbelief and hope. Could this be something special, or is it imagination? This uncertainty is part of the emotional journey. It is the tension that makes discovery unforgettable. The decision to seek expert opinion is often accompanied by anxiety. Sending a coin for authentication feels like sending a piece of oneself. Weeks pass. Every day carries anticipation. When the results finally arrive, they bring clarity. Whether the coin is confirmed as extraordinary or returned as ordinary, the process changes the discoverer forever. Knowledge replaces ignorance, and appreciation deepens. When confirmation does come, the emotional impact can be overwhelming. A simple penny transforms into a verified rarity. The weight of history, value, and possibility settles in. For some, it means financial security. For others, it means recognition within a community they admire. In either case, life shifts direction. Stories circulate of people whose lives were altered by such discoveries. These stories resonate because they speak to universal hope. The idea that attention, patience, and curiosity can unlock hidden value appeals deeply. A 1975 descent becomes more than an object, it becomes a symbol of possibility. The aftermath of discovery brings new responsibilities. Suddenly, decisions matter. How should the coin be stored? Should it be sold or kept? Should it be shared with the world or guarded privately? Each choice carries consequences, both financial and emotional. There is no single correct path, only the one that aligns with the owner's values. A public revelation amplifies impact. When a remarkable coin is announced, the community responds. Experts analyze it, collectors debate it, and media outlets share the story. The discoverer becomes part of the coin's narrative, their name forever linked to the find. This recognition can be as valuable as money itself, yet some discoveries remain private. Quiet owners choose discretion, valuing personal connection over publicity. These hidden treasures fuel speculation and legend. The knowledge that undisclosed rarities may exist keeps the hunt alive. It reinforces the belief that history is not fully catalogued, that surprises still await. Emotion also shapes how value is perceived. A coin discovered by chance carries a different meaning than one acquired through purchase. It represents luck, intuition, and personal experience. This emotional layer can outweigh market value, leading owners to hold onto coins even when offered significant sums. The human response to rarity is complex. Pride, fear, excitement, and responsibility intertwine. A 1975 D1 coin, once ignored, can become a source of identity and purpose. It can inspire learning, connection, and even mentorship as discoverers share their knowledge with others. In this way, coins build communities. Collectors connect across generations, cultures, and backgrounds. Shared fascination bridges differences. The story of a single penny becomes a shared narrative, reminding everyone that value is not always obvious and that discovery rewards attention. As time moves forward, each discovery adds another thread to the tapestry of numismatic history. The collective understanding grows richer. What was once speculation becomes documented fact. What was once rumor becomes reference, and still, the journey is not complete. Beyond discovery lies legacy, how coins are remembered, recorded, and respected long after their discoverers are gone. The next part moves into legacy, mythology, and how a single coin can outlive generations, shaping how the past is understood in the future. Legacy is where a coin escapes the limits of a single lifetime. Once discovery, authentication, and recognition have taken place, a coin begins a longer journey, one that stretches beyond its owner and into collective memory. A 1975 D1 coin that achieves legendary status no longer belongs solely to the person who found it. It becomes part of a shared historical record, referenced and remembered long after hands have changed. Legacy is built through documentation. Photographs, grading reports, auction records, and written analysis preserve a coin's identity even when it is not physically present. These records allow future generations to study, compare, and understand its importance. Without documentation, rarity can fade into rumor. With it, significance becomes permanent. The coin gains a voice that speaks across time. Mythology grows naturally around rarity. Stories are simplified, retold, and sometimes exaggerated. A coin's journey may begin as a quiet discovery, but over years it becomes legend. The exact details matter less than the core truth. Something ordinary became extraordinary. The 1975 descent, through repetition and fascination, transforms into a symbol of hidden potential. Museums and exhibitions play a powerful role in shaping this mythology. When a coin is displayed behind glass, accompanied by explanation and context, it is elevated from collectible to cultural artifact. Viewers see not just a penny, but a reflection of history, technology, and human curiosity. Such exposure ensures that the coin story reaches audiences who may never participate in the market directly. Educational impact follows naturally. Coins become teaching tools, illustrating economic history, minting processes, and the concept of rarity. A single cent can spark interest in history, science, and art. Students learn that value is constructed, contextual, and deeply human. Through education, legacy deepens, ownership itself becomes part of the story. Each notable owner adds a chapter. A famous collector, an institution, or a historically significant sale contributes to the coin's aura. Provenance becomes narrative. The longer and more distinguished the chain of ownership, the stronger the legacy. There is also the idea of stewardship. Legendary coins are not merely owned, they are cared for on behalf of the future. Owners become temporary guardians rather than final possessors. This mindset encourages preservation and respect, ensuring that the coin survives intact for generations yet to come. Over time, values may fluctuate, but legacy endures. Market prices rise and fall with economic conditions, yet historically important coins maintain relevance regardless of short-term trends. Their worth becomes anchored in significance rather than speculation. A 1975 D cent that reaches this level transcends ordinary market behavior. The contrast between simplicity and importance remains striking. A penny, the smallest denomination, becomes a vessel for meaning far beyond its face value. This contrast strengthens the story, making it memorable and compelling. It reminds people that greatness is not always obvious and that attention can reveal hidden depth. Legacy also inspires continuation. Future collectors are motivated by the stories of legendary coins. They search, study, and preserve with renewed purpose, hoping to add their own discoveries to the record. The cycle repeats, driven by curiosity and respect for the past. As decades pass, the coin's physical presence may be rare, but its image and story circulate widely. Books, articles, videos, and discussions keep it alive in public consciousness. Even those who never see the coin in person recognize its significance. This widespread recognition cements legacy. In the end, legacy is about meaning. A 1975 D 1-cent coin becomes a bridge between eras, connecting the moment it was struck with the countless moments it has inspired since. It stands as proof that history hides in everyday objects and that careful attention can uncover stories worth telling. And still, one final dimension remains: the future. How changing technology, new collectors, and evolving perspectives will continue to reshape understanding and value. The final part moves into the future outlook, timeless appeal, and why the story of a single penny is never truly finished. Legacy is where a coin escapes the limits of a single lifetime. Once discovery, authentication, and recognition have taken place, a coin begins a longer journey, one that stretches beyond its owner and into collective memory. A 1975 D 1-cent coin that achieves legendary status no longer belongs solely to the person who found it. It becomes part of a shared historical record, referenced and remembered long after hands have changed. Legacy is built through documentation. Photographs, grading reports, auction records, and written analysis preserve a coin's identity even when it is not physically present. These records allow future generations to study, compare, and understand its importance. Without documentation, rarity can fade into rumor. With it, significance becomes permanent. The coin gains a voice that speaks across time. Mythology grows naturally around rarity. Stories are simplified, retold, and sometimes exaggerated. A coin's journey may begin as a quiet discovery, but over years it becomes legend. The exact details matter less than the core truth: something ordinary became extraordinary. The 1975 D cent, through repetition and fascination, transforms into a symbol of hidden potential. Museums and exhibitions play a powerful role in shaping this mythology. When a coin is displayed behind glass, accompanied by explanation and context, it is elevated from collectible to cultural artifact. Viewers see not just a penny, but a reflection of history, technology, and human curiosity. Such exposure ensures that the coin story reaches audiences who may never participate in the market directly. Educational impact follows naturally. Coins become teaching tools, illustrating economic history, minting processes, and the concept of rarity. A single cent can spark interest in history, science, and art. Students learn that value is constructed, contextual, and deeply human. Through education, legacy deepens, ownership itself becomes part of the story. Each notable owner adds a chapter. A famous collector, an institution, or a historically significant sale contributes to the coin's aura. Provenance becomes narrative. The longer and more distinguished the chain of ownership, the stronger the legacy. There is also the idea of stewardship. Legendary coins are not merely owned, they are cared for on behalf of the future. Owners become temporary guardians rather than final possessors. This mindset encourages preservation and respect, ensuring that the coin survives intact for generations yet to come. Over time, values may fluctuate, but legacy endures. Market prices rise and fall with economic conditions, yet historically important coins maintain relevance regardless of short-term trends. Their worth becomes anchored in significance rather than speculation. A 1975 cent that reaches this level transcends ordinary market behavior. The contrast between simplicity and importance remains striking. A penny, the smallest denomination, becomes a vessel for meaning far beyond its face value. This contrast strengthens the story, making it memorable and compelling. It reminds people that greatness is not always obvious and that attention can reveal hidden depth. Legacy also inspires continuation. Future collectors are motivated by the stories of legendary coins. They search, study, and preserve with renewed purpose, hoping to add their own discoveries to the record. The cycle repeats, driven by curiosity and respect for the past. As decades pass, the coin's physical presence may be rare, but its image and story circulate widely. Books, articles, videos, and discussions keep it alive in public consciousness. Even those who never see the coin in person recognize its significance. This widespread recognition cements legacy. In the end, legacy is about meaning. A 1975 1-cent coin becomes a bridge between eras, connecting the moment it was struck with the countless moments it has inspired since. It stands as proof that history hides in everyday objects and that careful attention can uncover stories worth telling. And still, one final dimension remains: the future. How changing technology, new collectors, and evolving perspectives will continue to reshape understanding and value. The final part moves into the future outlook, timeless appeal, and why the story of a single penny is never truly finished. Say Part 8 when you're ready, and I'll continue to the next layer. Part 8 continuing. Part 8, same uninterrupted flow, English only, no title, no headings, forward-looking, timeless narration. The future is where the story stretches beyond certainty and into possibility. Coins do not age the way people do, yet they change as the world around them changes. Technology advances, perspectives shift, and new generations bring fresh curiosity. A 1975 1-cent coin, already transformed from currency into artifact, will continue to evolve in meaning as time moves forward. Digital technology is reshaping how history is preserved. High-resolution imaging, 3D scanning, and advanced metallurgical analysis allow coins to be studied in ways never before possible. Microscopic details can be recorded permanently, ensuring that even if a coin disappears from public view, its characteristics remain accessible. This digital immortality strengthens legacy and protects knowledge for the future. Online communities expand influence. Collectors once limited by geography now connect instantly, sharing discoveries, debating theories, and refining understanding. A rare coin no longer exists in isolation, it is part of a global conversation. Interest builds faster, spreads wider, and lasts longer. The story of a single penny can reach millions, inspiring curiosity across cultures and borders. As economic systems evolve, physical artifacts gain new significance. In a world increasingly defined by digital transactions, tangible objects from the past carry emotional weight. Coins represent continuity, something solid in an abstract age. A 1975 cent becomes not just a collectible, but a reminder of physical history in a virtual era. Future collectors will reinterpret value. What seems extraordinary today may be seen differently tomorrow, and what seems ordinary now may gain importance later. Historical distance alters perspective. As fewer people remember the 1970s firsthand, coins from that era become symbols rather than memories. Symbolism deepens emotional resonance. The appeal of the Lincoln Cents series ensures endurance. Abraham Lincoln's image continues to represent ideals of unity and resilience. As long as these ideals matter, the coins that carry his likeness will remain relevant. A penny becomes a messenger of values, not just economics. Speculation will never fully disappear. The idea that undiscovered rarities still exist will persist as long as coins remain unexamined. This belief fuels ongoing search and study. Even if most discoveries are modest, the possibility of something extraordinary sustains engagement. Cultural shifts may also influence perception. Objects once dismissed as mundane can gain artistic or historical appreciation. Coins are miniature sculptures, designed with intention and symbolism. Future audiences may value them as art as much as currency, further expanding their significance. Education will continue to play a role. As more people learn about minting processes, history, and rarity, appreciation grows. Knowledge transforms objects into narratives. A 1975 cent becomes a chapter in a larger story about industry, economy, and human creativity. The timeless appeal lies in contradiction. A penny is small, common, and often ignored, yet capable of extraordinary meaning. This contradiction resonates across generations. It speaks to hope, curiosity, and the belief that value can be hidden in plain sight. Ultimately, the story of the 1975 1-cent coin is never finished. Each new observer adds interpretation. Each passing year adds history. Each discovery, real or imagined, renews fascination. The coin continues to exist at the intersection of past, present, and future, and with that understanding, the journey comes full circle. From humble beginnings to legendary possibility, from pocket change to cultural artifact, a single penny carries a story far larger than itself. The story does not end here, it waits, quietly, in the next coin examined, the next question asked, and the next moment of curiosity that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Reflection is where understanding settles in. After all the analysis, speculation, discovery, and imagination, what remains is a quiet truth about why coins like the 1975 1-cent piece continue to matter. They matter not because every example is rare, but because rarity is always possible. They matter because they teach patience, attention, and respect for detail in a world that often moves too fast to notice small things. Every collector, whether beginner or expert, eventually realizes that the true reward is not always financial. It is the process of learning to see. A coin trains the eye to recognize difference, the mind to ask questions, and the heart to appreciate history. The 1975 cent becomes a lesson in observation. Two coins may look identical at first glance, yet one may carry a story that sets it apart forever. This awareness changes how people interact with the world. Once someone understands that value can hide in plain sight, they begin to look more closely at everything. Curiosity becomes a habit. Objects once ignored gain meaning. History becomes tangible. A penny becomes proof that significance is not always announced, sometimes it must be discovered. The endurance of this idea explains why stories about rare coins never fade. Even when markets cool and attention shifts elsewhere, the fascination remains. Somewhere, someone is still checking dates, still weighing coins, still holding one a little longer in the light. That quiet persistence keeps the story alive. Collectors often speak of moments of connection, when holding a coin feels like touching the past directly. The metal has traveled through decades, passed through countless hands, survived countless moments. It has witnessed change without changing itself. A 1975 1-cent coin carries the energy of its time, preserved in copper. There is also humility in this pursuit. Most searches yield nothing extraordinary, yet each search matters. The act of looking is what sustains possibility. Without search, discovery cannot exist. This balance between effort and chance defines the soul of collecting. As legends grow, they sometimes overshadow reality. It is important to remember that most coins are ordinary, and that is what makes the extraordinary meaningful. Rarity only exists because commonness exists. The 1975 cent sits firmly in this balance, ordinary by design, extraordinary by potential. The idea of immense value attached to such a small object challenges assumptions about worth. It invites reflection on how society defines importance. Is value inherent or assigned? Is it material, emotional, or historical? Coins suggest that value is layered, shaped by time, context, and human agreement. This understanding fosters respect. Even a common coin deserves care, because its future is unknown. Today's pocket change may be tomorrow's artifact. The present always becomes the past faster than expected. As the narrative draws closer to completion, one realization stands above all others. The story of a coin is never just about the coin. It is about people, their curiosity, their patience, their dreams, and their connection to history. A 1975 1-cent coin is a mirror reflecting these human qualities. The journey through value, discovery, legacy, and future leads back to a simple moment, a person looking closely at something small. That moment contains everything: the past, the present, and the possibility of transformation. Only one final step remains. The closing reflection that ties everything together, leaving the listener not just informed, but inspired to look again at the smallest things around them. The final part completes the circle. In the end, everything returns to simplicity. A single cent, struck in 1975 at the Denver Mint, resting quietly among countless others, never knowing the future it would inspire. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It waits. And in that waiting lies its power. The story of the 1975 1-cent coin is not a promise that every penny is priceless, but a reminder that meaning is often hidden beneath the surface. It teaches that history does not only live in textbooks or monuments, but in everyday objects shaped by human hands and human decisions. Each coin is a witness, carrying silent testimony from the moment it was created. What gives this coin its lasting impact is not just speculation of value, but the mindset it creates. It encourages people to slow down, to observe, to question. It reminds them that knowledge transforms perception. Once you understand what to look for, the world reveals more of itself. The idea that a penny could be connected to unimaginable value captures attention, but the deeper lesson is more enduring. Value is not always obvious. It is discovered through curiosity, patience, and care. The same qualities that reveal a rare coin also reveal opportunity in life itself. As time continues forward, the 1975 cent will age, just as all things do. Yet its story will not fade. It will live on in discussions, collections, memories, and moments of discovery yet to come. Someone, somewhere, will pick up a coin and feel that same spark of curiosity, that same question forming in their mind, and in that moment, the cycle begins again. A small coin. A careful glance. A question. A possibility. From something so ordinary comes wonder, history, and meaning. That is why the story of a single penny will never truly end.